All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Village of Cottage Grove Plan Commission being held on Wednesday, October 11th at 6:30 p.m. We are holding this as a hybrid meeting, meaning that we are in the Village Hall here as well as on Zoom. The Zoom link is at the top of the agenda. We have a quorum. The agenda was properly posted, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, then, we have public appearances. This is public's opportunity to speak, besides the public hearing section for the applicant. So with this, if anyone would like to speak on any subject, we ask that you share your name, your address, your municipality, and hold your comments to no more than 3 minutes, just in case we have a lot of folks who'd like to speak. So with that, I will pause. Anybody on the Zoom, please, if you want to speak, just raise your hand. How fitting. There's crickets in the background here, folks, in the hall, so that's funny for those of us here. With that, then we'll move on to discuss and consider our meeting minutes held from our Plan Commission meeting held on September 13th, 2023. Any questions, comments, edits?
Motion to approve is presented.
And I'll second.
A motion from Alex, a second from Heidi. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor then?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Then I'd like to open a public hearing at this point in our meeting. This is public's opportunity to provide input on the request for an HDP Shady Grove LLC for the approval of preliminary plat to create parcels from existing parcel 0711-082-4587-1 and parcel 0711-082-4609-1 and parcel number 0711-082-4610-1 and parcel 0711-082-4621-1 for and portions of parcel 0711-082-4598-1. That is a lot of numbers. So with that, we'll probably start with the applicant, in case we want to, so that may address any questions from public.
Debbie was maybe going to give a brief introduction.
All right, thanks, Aaron. So Debbie, just push whatever one you're going to be at, push the little red button with the person that looks like he's speaking. It'll turn red, I should say. That way anybody on Zoom can hear you.
Okay. So I have to share my screen, right?
Recording in progress.
Technology.
Okay. I think that one works now. Okay, can you see my PowerPoint? You can, yay.
Yes, we can.
Thanks for coming in tonight just for me.
We would be here either way.
So for the Shady Grove Plan Commission for today, just a reminder, we're talking about Shady Grove, located at the corner of Bus Road and BB. We're talking about Shady Grove overall, which is a mixture of single-family homes, and what we're looking to do is 24 paired villas. That would be this section along the top here. That was, I don't know what it was actually zoned agriculture, but in the comp plan, it's considered multifamily. Just a reminder of what those homes look like that we had talked about before. I believe last time we also talked about that we're going to have two different types of plans because we have two different size lots there. So we have a larger footprint of a ranch plan and then a smaller footprint of a two-story plan. Last time I was here, we approved 4 of the platted lots being these two here, through a CSM, and I gotta move my thing here. And these two were divided through the CSM as well. Tonight, I'm here to discuss the remaining lots that are in green, which total 20 of the paired villas. Last time I was here, we also had some conversation about landscape, wanting to make sure that we had thought about that. And so this particular map will show you the division of all the lots, as well as the shaded area up here shows the existing tree line along Bus Road. We're gonna do make every reasonable effort to keep these two trees here, even though they're pretty close to the foundation, but we're looking like we can save those for now. We also had, let me keep moving this bar around. And just a reminder that this is what that, tree line looks like along Bus Road. I'm sure you guys are all aware. And that's really all I had to present today. And then I just wanted to take questions from anybody.
All right. Aaron, we can go through your stuff, and Josh, and then see if anybody from the public wants to speak, and then we'll turn it over to commission.
Okay, thanks, John. Basically a continuation of what we started talking about a couple months ago. As Debbie indicated, I think we even saw this basic layout as part of that submittal, knowing this was coming up here in the future. Don't really have too many comments. We are acting on both the preliminary and final plat at this meeting, which is not something we typically do. We ran it past the attorneys and they thought it was okay, especially in this case where it's basically a continuation of something we already started talking about in a fairly minor land development. So we'd recommend approval of both the preliminary and the final plat, both with the same set of conditions. The first one being, it looks like the plat is kind of built around the previous CSMs. Last time I looked, it didn't look like the CSMs had been recorded, or at least they weren't showing up that way. Okay.
Yeah.
So you may just want to do that first to not confuse them down there. Just a reminder, there will be a fee in lieu of parkland dedication. There is a park in the other part of Shady Grove that was used to offset some of the single-family lots. So these would still have to be accounted for. Just a reminder about the sewer and water impact fees that have to be paid as the building permits are pulled. And then you may not have covenants for these since you're building them yourself, but if you do.
We don't,
okay.
yeah.
So that would take care of number 4, and then any neighborhood association for these?
We were not, these are fee simple.
Okay. So then 4 and 5, not really applicable. Do believe we have Kyla on the line from Strand, who may have some additional comments.
Hi, everyone. Yes, pretty straightforward in aspects. Sorry, my camera's not working tonight for some reason. I've been in contact with Debbie's engineer for the development in regards to sewer extensions for the additional plats as well as water services. So as long as those comments are being addressed, as well as the surface repaving of the sidewalk, curb and gutter, and the pavement, as well as we've discussed in the past, Debbie. That's all I have.
If I could just add one comment just to reiterate what Aaron said. So basically we talked about moving the preliminary plat and the final plat. Usually there would be separate meetings for all of those, but given the circumstances, there wasn't a prohibition against doing them at the same meeting. But if there are concerns with the preliminary plat or you want to see changes to it, there's no obligation to move forward with both of these tonight. So it's completely up to the Plan Commission's discretion.
Thanks, Rick. All right, and again, anybody from the public on Zoom, as this is a public hearing. All right, then I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting. And then we'll move to item 7, which is just to discuss all this with the commission members. So anybody on, commission members on the Zoom or in the room, have any questions, comments for Debbie or Mike?
Yeah, this is Troy. Will these be owner-occupied residences?
That's the plan, yes. That's all we sell is single family for sale.
We can't hear her on the outside here.
That is the plan. That's what we build is single family for sale product.
And will there be covenants that they cannot turn that into a rental in the future?
There will not, no. I don't think that I thought I heard one time, Rick, that we can't prohibit that, right?
We've talked about that
Yeah.
talked about that in the past, not just for your plat, but for other stuff too.
Right.
And I think there's a slippery slope
Yeah,
with that.
yeah. It's not something that we would be in favor of doing, is putting restrictions on it.
Rick, do you want to comment from a legal perspective?
Yeah, so I don't think we could require it. You know, I'm not sure about the legality itself of putting that condition in the restrictive covenant, but the village couldn't require it as part of the plat approval.
Now, certainly the price point too probably would discourage a little bit of this too. I think you had mentioned going to try to start at 300,000 or something like for a half of
We're
one of
trying
these.
to start at $399, yeah,
399 for half of one of these. So
right.
you look like a fairly significant investment for somebody who wants to rent these, purchase and rent.
Debbie, I was wondering, do you just accept the first offer that qualifies and at your asking price, or do places go into like bidding? Are you going to build them spec, or are you going to build?
We
like
generally
custom?
don't build a spec, but because these are paired, right, so if you sell one half, you're gonna have to put the other half through. But, you know, our prices are published to the public and they come in and, you know, sometimes we do offers depending on, you know, like this time of year, right, is slower selling than the spring, and depends on how many options and upgrades they're buying. The more options they have, the more discount they can get.
Okay, thank you.
Are there questions from commission members, comments?
Yes, I got a question. Thanks, John. So lots 3 through 6, it's got that, and just I'm not familiar with it, and my lot's a square where I live. So 3 through 6, the new 3 through 6 is gonna have that point.
Pie shape.
You know, how does that deemed usable? Like, if somebody wants to put a fence in, it's like, it's just, it narrowed, like even my mower, you know, like I would overbound it just with the mower. That doesn't matter the size of the mower, right? You're 24-inch mower, you're coming to that point. Is
Right.
that, I guess it's typical, not typical? How does that sort of manage? Are we setting ourselves up for potential disputes back there as opposed to maybe just making it, of course, if you carve it out as green space, then it needs to be maintained by somebody.
Right.
It needs to be dedicated to somebody, and then if it's the group, then it's an association fee paying for the thing. I mean, it's a weird thing to look at, I guess.
I don't know
So how did you guys, I mean, you guys probably talked about it quite a bit. How'd you end up with that sort of pointiness?
So I don't know that we were you go ahead and answer it, you designed it.
My staff. You push a little,
The red one.
That one,
there
okay.
you go.
We wrestled with that when we were laying it out, and, well, how are we gonna, where's the jog need to go? And as I look at this right now, I would think maybe squaring off lot 2, the southern property line of lot 2 had a kink point in it. Can I turn that?
Yeah, you can. Just gotta grab it.
Potentially, if we just put a kink point in here and brought this out, lot 2 would mow all this, and these would have more of a square back to them. So at least the mower could get all the way to the end of the property. I mean, that'd be one solution to that we're talking about here. And it's a dead space, and so I don't know that you have any issue with how we arrange the lot lines back there. There's kinks in the property line where it's easy for somebody to understand who owns what, I guess, so.
Right. I guess because they were paired villas and attached buildings, I don't know that I envisioned people being able to fence their own yards.
would it be easier to plant something back there to kind of, like cedar or something like that, so that it kind of just, then you don't have to mow it, you just go up to,
Planting bed of some type,
Yeah.
somebody still has to maintain that though, and who's,
right, but if you can use stone and you can use a few things that are, that don't require a lot of maintenance. And then truly that would be the homeowner, obviously. But
Right.
that would avoid the mower problem or the,
Yeah, but I've seen privacy fences, like, you see these different styles of these twins, and so maybe the decks are butted up against each other, so they put like a privacy fence, so they're eating dinner and they're not, oh, what are you, yeah, and I've seen, and then I just sort of see they grow throughout the years, a little further down the road, I mean, they do, right, I mean, so, now they got this weird point, maybe it's not weird, sorry,
You-
wrong
you
word,
do
but
not-
it's, yeah.
you do not have covenants on the single-family part.
On the single family, we have covered.
Does that have fence restrictions in it? I mean, would these could fall under the same? It'd be architectural approval, or you can prevent fences from going up, right?
My question was, if you take two and you do what you were talking about doing, was bringing it straight down, do we start all over again?
No, I would suggest, I would recommend that this is just a minor adjustment based on this conversation, that we wouldn't have to go back through the approval process,
'cause
just to
I
modify
wouldn't
those
mind.
lot lines, so.
I would.
Hey, Debbie?
Yeah.
you may need to turn on your mic so that the folks on Zoom can hear you.
I was just asking the question about because I don't disagree, now that we're sitting here talking about it, that if I did that, would I have to start this whole process all over again, or whether it would be a small enough modification that it would be a recommendation from Plan Commission that we could fix it by Monday and then have it approved?
Assuming the commission is okay with that idea, we just approve it with that condition.
The only thing is, I think you also have a land calculation too, right? The lot has a minimum size. You don't want to chop off too much and then lose your minimum size, so you want to calculate that out. I would,
Right,
to your point,
right.
theoretically, Aaron, so theoretically, the process could be, with that minor change or as presented. You're right. So if the minor change says, hey, we're losing square footage or acreage, whatever the number, call it, and it doesn't fit the land calculation, then it has to be this, and then that's the end of it.
The TRD,
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the size on those unless you're, sorry, not too worried about the size on those unless you chop it off too dramatically, but, yeah, if they make that change, they'd have to update all the facts and figures and dimensions and stuff too.
that adjustment before the board meeting would not be an issue. We can work that out and just bring a new map that shows the square footages and that everything's in compliance with the zoning.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in agreement with that.
Happy neighbors, that's what you're looking for.
I was gonna
Skinny
invent
mower.
a mower with a point on it.
Weed whacker.
Yeah.
No, good point.
It is Prime Day,
My other comment, I guess carryover from last time, I appreciate you talking about the landscaping, because it is, an important corridor right at the beginning of Cottage Grove. So I would love if we do have to have any of the trees removed because they're too close, that another one could be planted along that corridor if, one does have to be removed to like replace it. I don't know if that sounds reasonable, if you aren't able to keep all of them to replace one along the corridor.
So I was gonna say, I don't know, the trees that are actually on the corridor, through here are not an issue. It's like this one and this one that are well into our property that might be an issue.
Right, but they do still provide kind of that aesthetic feel of driving into Cottage Grove, the separation. I feel like it's important to keep that and not have it open. There are other trees that are in that line though, so it's,
Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty dense section right here.
yeah, it might help even the preservation of some of the other trees if they're, the other ones are in okay condition to not
Right.
have the competition next to them. But you don't foresee losing any of the others other than those?
No.
And then there looks like maybe there's a few other new on the corner. Is there anything new? Those are all newly added? Okay.
Right. And then parkway trees. And then they'll have landscape around the buildings.
Great.
Other questions from commission members? Anything else? Otherwise, it's a discuss and consider.
I would make a motion to approve the request from HDP Shady Grove LLC for approval of preliminary plat to create 20 parcels from existing parcels 0711-082-4587-1, 0711-082-4609-1, 0711-082-4610-1, 0711-082-4621-1, and portions of 0711-082-4598-1, with conditions in the memo, and what do we call this? Pie-shaped adjustments
Potential
to,
adjustments.
to the pie-shaped lots.
Yeah.
If 3 through 5, if it meets the lot size requirements. Does that sound, got that, Lisa? Okay.
Second.
All right, motion and second then. Any further discussion? Having heard none, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Next then, we have discussed and consider the request for HDP Shady Grove LLC, William Ryan Homes, for the approval of final plat to create 20 parcels for existing parcels. We've read those numbers enough. We have them down. I'm not going to do it again. So with that, any comments, questions from commission members?
Then I would make a motion to approve the request from HGP Shady Grove LLC for approval of final plat to create 20 parcels from the existing parcels listed, with conditions in the memos and same pie-shaped condition as previously mentioned.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Let's go from Don. Any further discussion? Having heard none then, all those in favor then?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Anybody abstain? Motion carries. All right. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Mike. Next, then, we have future agenda items. Aaron?
Yeah, it should be a little busier next month. Both New Tech and Toby's Auto came last month, should have their formal applications ready for the November meeting, and we should have one for a new business just down the street here by the bank. And then, if you recall, Toby's Auto included one zoning amendment, and then we had some other housing-related ones that we're gonna do at the same time, so we'll tackle all that as well.
All right. Sounds good. Anything else from any other commission members? All right. Item 10.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Fred.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Troy, second, I think.
Oh, you got it.
Non-debatable. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So Fred, we were plotting a